Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Kandy's Quarantine Conversations with me, Kandy Cllr. I hope you're all keeping safe and well during lockdown. Joining me today is my special guest, Labour Councillor Krupesh Hirani. Krupesh is a Harrow and Brent candidate for City Hall. He is also the Cabinet Member for Public Health, Culture and Leisure at Brent Council. Hi, Krupesh.
Hi, Kandy. Hi.
Thank you so much for joining me today. I feel so pleased and privileged to be speaking with you right now.
No, my pleasure. I've had a look at some of your other interviews as well, and yeah, I'm really glad that you considered me as well.
Oh, thank you. No, you were definitely one of the first people that I thought of asking, but I had a bit of nerves, to be honest. So, how have you been keeping during quarantine?
Well, keeping as well as possible, really. It's quite surreal. It's weekends where I think in the politics world where you feel the difference, because normally we'd be going out campaigning, knocking on doors, canvassing, and obviously we've got mass community events that we tend to attend as well. So obviously those are not happening at the moment, but all the other work is just continuing as normal, to be honest. And obviously, with what's happened with coronavirus, and especially with councils and local government being kind of at the front line of responding to what's been happening, I suppose it's just busy as ever on that. But on the campaigning side, yeah, it has been a bit strange.
Yes, I can imagine that quite a few things to do with your campaign have just come to a sudden halt due to this crisis situation, which is really unfortunate. But I'm sure that once things begin getting back to normal and resuming again, that you'll be all systems go once again, as you usually are.
Yeah, as soon as it's safe to. So last week would have been election day in London, where Londoners would be able to elect their mayor of London as well as their assembly members. But obviously that's been postponed for another year. Those elections will now take place in 2021. So it gives me a bit of opportunity to have a kind of long haul campaign. But as soon as it's safe to go out there and meet people and knock on doors, I'll definitely be doing that.
Yes, I'm sure you will. I saw that you mentioned that in one of your Instagram posts the other day, actually. So I want to say congratulations once again on you being selected as Brent and Harrow's candidate for City Hall. How did you feel when you discovered that you had been chosen?
Well, to be honest, I was immensely proud that it was a membership vote, so members of the party voted for who they wanted to be their candidate. So I was immensely proud to have the confidence and support of members. But there wasn't really much time for it to kind of embed and sink in, because at that stage the selection process was quite late on, and we were expecting the election in May. I was selected in February, so we had to kind of just quickly switch and concentrate on organising an election campaign. So I've probably only had time to think about it and really plan what I'm going to do now during the lockdown period. But it was almost kind of straight to action and straight to organising a public campaign.
No, I can understand that. Must have been a really exciting time for you as well, there.
Yeah, yeah.
No, brilliant. So you have also made political history by becoming the UK's youngest cabinet member, which is just an absolutely amazing achievement. So can you tell us a bit about what that experience was like for you, please?
Yeah, so it feels like quite a long time ago, to be honest. So it was in 2012 where I became a cabinet member for adult social care at that time, which is I think an under recognised area of local government. So when people think of the local council, they think of kind of the day-to-day services, things like the potholes, the bins, waste, environment. But actually, the area where councils spend most of their money is in adult social care and children's social care as well, which is actually protecting and serving those who need the most support in society. Unfortunately, it's taken something like coronavirus to get some of those services into the limelight, so to speak, with the public. and it's sad that it's taken that to happen. But I think people now hopefully appreciate it more.
Yeah.
And when we see, on Thursday evenings, for example, where people are clapping for carers, it's not just kind of the NHS workers and nurses and doctors, but also people are clapping for social care workers and other key workers as well. So it just makes me immensely proud. I mean, it's not an easy portfolio or an easy area to have responsibility for, but I worked previously in the voluntary sector supporting disabled people, but for me it was just kind of a natural step. And some of the things that I was working for with the charity, it just felt seeing it from the other side and seeing how it works in terms of making decisions and supporting people. I think it just makes me have those experiences and make sure that I was able to do something about it at a local level.
Yes, but I'm aware that you've done quite a bit in the voluntary section, and that you volunteered with Aspire and Stanmore, didn't you? Which is brilliant.
Yeah, so actually, I worked for Aspire, so
Okay.
I supported them on quite a lot of different policy areas because so they support people with spinal cord injuries. Um, and if you can imagine, most spinal cord injuries are caused by a traumatic incident. It could be, sporting injury. So just simple things like housing. So if you lived on a first floor flat, for example, or had steps going into your house or property, just imagine a traumatic incident means you can't even get into your own home. And it leaves people, it leaves people paralyzed for life. So trying to get that support to people, whether it means welfare or trying to get employers to adapt their workplaces so that people can actually get back to work. There's a lot of work that's needed, mostly kind of in an intense starting period to get people back to where they want to be.
Wow, that's brilliant that you help people do that. And, I'm sure that they really appreciate your assistance in getting them to where they want to be. So, yeah, alongside doing your voluntary work and being a councillor, you're also, yes, like we just discussed, you are the Cabinet Member for Health, Culture and Leisure. So you're doing loads of things, and I always notice you at so many different events, and you support lots of various other causes. So how do you manage to prioritize everything?
I think you have to enjoy it. So, and for me, it's sort of my personal interest also embedded with what I'm doing on Brent Council as well. Public health, for example. So, on the prevention side, councils are responsible for kind of supporting our residents on the prevention side of health services. So it's the NHS that work on when people need that intense intervention. But we do encourage our residents to, keep fit, for example, or have healthy diets or stop smoking, so that they don't develop those health complications in the future. So for me, I think it's just about making sure that things that I'm interested in and things that I see, I try and translate that into supporting our residents to also to also living positive, healthy outcomes. And on the culture side, so Brent is currently the London Borough of Culture, and there is a bit of a hiatus at the moment because of what's happening. We can't have obviously the mass public engagement events, but for me, it's about celebrating that history, that heritage, and that culture in Brent that we have locally. And we have such diverse communities, but the thing is that we all tend to get on. And how do we celebrate each other, embrace each other, and make sure we have a platform so that actually, if you look at who we have locally who are artists who want a career in the arts and culture, how do we make sure that that one man person or one woman person who might be in their bedrooms or like yourself creating podcasts, how can they actually how can we harness that potential, and how can we make sure that they can develop their career and their hobbies and actually their passions and do what they want or need to do.
That's absolutely amazing. And I definitely agree that Brent is a diverse borough. You're actually the councillor for Dudden Hill in Neasden, aren't you?
Yeah, so it's the area that I've lived in all my life. I grew up in. So I suppose starting off, that was my my motivation really. It's about improving my local area where I live, mostly around schools and parks and open spaces. So I saw a lot of potential with what we had locally, and then I campaigned to improve local parks. So managed to get multi-use games area in our parks, outdoor gyms in our parks as well, and supported initiatives and causes like Park Run, who outside of lockdown period. Every Saturday morning, 9 o'clock, they're there 5 kilometers around the park, and we've got people running, but also people volunteering, which is just as important, really.
Well, that's lovely. I grew up in Brent myself, in Neasden as well. So I'm definitely familiar with the area. What is it that you love most about the borough?
Yeah, I think about the area. I think it's just home, really. So it's where all my memories are. It's where people I grew up with. A lot of people still around here, and even it just came home to me on Thursday when we're out clapping. Uh, all the neighbours came out, and there's such a community feel about it. And also, that continues with new people coming in and new neighbours joining, and it's ever changing. If you look at just the high street, for example, the shops that come and go. Some have stayed there for many years as well. And there's just a big kind of community feel to the area. We're looking to engage and bring more of a community feel to it as well. So the local church, for example, St Catherine's, many may know it.
Yeah.
They've done some excellent work with local people to establish something called the Neasden Community Festival, which is trying to bring all those different communities and cultures together so that they can settle in better and be proud of the area that they live in.
Oh, that's brilliant. And I can definitely relate to you about that community spirit every Thursday when everybody is out clapping for the NHS and the other care workers. The other day when I was outside clapping, I felt like, oh, look, I haven't seen my neighbours in such a long time. It feels so good to see them, So
Yeah.
you actually miss your neighbours when you haven't seen them in quite a while, especially when you're used to seeing them every day in the mornings, on the school runs, or, after work or the weekends, just outside washing your car and speaking and stuff. So yes, it is nice to have that community get together each and every Thursday at 8 p.m. clapping. So I can definitely relate to you on that. So you are a very busy man, and I know this from just seeing you everywhere on your social media. You are really out there as a councillor, and I really respect that about you, to be honest. So, what are some of your hobbies outside of politics, and where do you find the time to do them?
Yeah, I mean, sometimes a lot of what you probably see on my social media is what I do personally as well. So, the park run is a good example. So, running is one of my my hobbies. I take part in my local park run, and also there's a great run leader called Ray Smart, who runs Be Smart Get Fit, and every Wednesday at 7 o'clock he organises and leads a run around Wembley Stadium. I also play five-a-side football, so that's one of my other hobbies. So a lot of my hobbies are around sport and keeping fit, and it also helps. I think one thing about keeping well physically, also it helps to keep well mentally. It just gives you that space, that time away from the desk, the computer, or your work, and it means that you can take that time out. You can take an hour out just to kind of forget about everything and be in the moment on what you're doing.
Yes. And I see how you do that, tie your hobbies into your work as well. So no wonder why you really enjoy it, and you are always present for community events. And yeah, I love it. So, I mean, what would you tell anybody who was interested in becoming a councillor?
I think the important thing is, you can make it what you want it to be, and you can choose what issues that you want to concentrate on as well. So, for me, I chose, or I like to look at areas such as things like culture, public health, leisure, sports, the arts, because that's my background really, and that's what I've been interested in. But you've got other areas that people can take a lead on as well. So you've got children, you've got schools, you've got young people's services, and really it's about finding out where you feel that your strengths are, and where you can do the best. But also you do have to know about all those other policy areas as well. And it's about representing the people who live and work around you as well. So all local councillors live in their local areas, and that's one of the requirements, that you have to live or work in the area that you want to represent. And for me, what that does, it just means that it means everyone can bring something to the table. We have people that come from different walks of life, with different backgrounds. Everyone has something to contribute, and everyone has something that they can bring forward for their local area and be passionate about. And for me, it's about if you have those values and want to contribute locally, it's not about the money, because I can assure you, if you look up what a councillor is paid, you can earn a lot more and spend a lot less time in earning that money in other professions or trades. But I think the real value is actually delivering and making sure that the local services and local decisions that are being made do take into account what local people want.
Yes, no, I definitely understand that, and I agree with you there. So, can you tell the viewers and listeners how they can support you by joining your campaign?
Yeah, lots of ways. So there's a year to go to the vote, as I mentioned. But people can knock on doors, they can deliver leaflets, they can donate, and also it's not just about the political campaign for me as well. I do want, regardless of who people are going to vote for, or who they want to support, there are other things that I want to bring to the table at City Hall. One of my pledges that I've brought forward is to set up Brent and Harrow's first ever young people's steering group, where issues can be taken directly from young people in Brent and Harrow to City Hall and the Mayor of London. So a lot of the groundwork on that to set it up has already started. What I'm looking for is for people to come forward, and if they're interested and aged between 16 and 30 in Brent and Harrow, do come forward. And what I'm looking to do is any kind of local decisions that impact young people, and anything that we have on the horizon, bring those issues to that steering group as a reference point, and hopefully get their input, and make sure that that's taken into account when when the mayor, or when local councils, or when Parliament are making decisions. I've got a website, so it's krupesh.co.uk, and there's a tab for support. So fill out your details if you want to get involved. Put your details in, and I'll be in touch.
I think that's really great that you're doing that. I mean, so many young people's voices are just, falling on deaf ears, and sometimes they feel like they can't, they don't know where to go if they want to speak about their experiences, or just anything that might be able to improve the environment that they're in. So I think that it's wonderful you are doing this, and I also think that young people will feel a lot more useful and appreciated, by you reaching out to them, or even inviting them to come and give them you know, come and give their opinions and tell you their stories, and to know that they're being listened to by the Mayor of London and people such as yourselves, councillors. So that's really good, Krupesh. I think that's excellent, to be honest. So my last question for you is, as someone who is responsible for public health at Brent Council, what advice and tips could you give to everyone about how to stay safe during the current coronavirus pandemic?
I think the main thing is to look after yourself and your loved ones as well. The best thing we can do is, I mean, I like to keep my messages simple, so stay physically well and mentally well. And there are a lot of resources out there that can help you to do that. And if you look at the local authorities website, for example, so on the Brent side, we do give tips on staying well with activities, for example, what you can do at home, and physically as well. The home workouts, obviously, as is kind of a craze at the moment, but do take part, because staying physically well is also it's also beneficial, and not just in terms of what we're seeing in the lockdown period, but in the long term as well. And I think one of the key things for us as decision makers to look at is how we work with people in the future, how we can learn the lessons of what happens with coronavirus. Look at what start to get evidence on the causes and the people who are affected by it. Find out what those reasons are, and you know, if something like you know, obesity or lack of physical activity or diet, for example, are one of the reasons that come out of it. Trying to find the solutions and working with communities to make sure that they can do the best that they can do to protect themselves, not just for coronavirus really, but any pandemics or any viruses that come forward in the future. So I think that will be a key driver. I think once we find out the reason, in making sure that we do the best that we can for each other afterwards.
I definitely agree. And I think the Labour Party are actually doing a Zoom meeting this evening with Doreen Lawrence about coronavirus in the BAME community. So I'll definitely be joining that. And thank you so much for speaking with me today. Thank you so much for the advice and information that you've given. Can you tell everyone how they can follow you on social media?
Yeah, so I'm on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, and all my handles are the same now. I've just changed it all to having the same handle, so it's just Krupesh Hirani. It's my first name and second name. So follow and get involved.
Oh, thank you so much for joining me on Kandy's Quarantine Conversations today, Krupesh. It has been an honour speaking with you today, and I'm sure that I will see you again soon once everything is back to normal.
Thank you, Kandy.
Thank you, Krupesh.
Work you're doing as well.
Oh, thank you so much. Likewise.